we might as well have a good time.
We might as well have a good time because,
Because we sure didn't yesterday.
That's right. We had a good time yesterday.
Gotta have a little laugh and go
That's
today.
right. That's right.
All right. Well, what happens when you take two very opinionated and very passionate ladies
Definitely.
and you put them together with OU football? What do you get?
Talk Sporty.
Talk Sporty. I'm Dana.
I'm Shawn.
And we're here to talk. Well, first, this is season 3, episode 8.
That's my daughter in the background. Watching
if she just cheered a little louder yesterday, maybe we could have scored more than 3 points. We're here to talk about the OU Texas football game. And there's not a whole lot of talking to do except we just got our butt beat.
Yep.
It was lopsided.
We did. After the first few series, we just soundly got beat.
You know, it's true. If we could have stopped after the first quarter, we're up 3-0. Rain delay. Let's leave.
Didn't Texas scored before the end of the first quarter? Oh, that's right.
It was in the second quarter. Okay. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
If
that would have worked.
If we could have just called it that.
Yeah. I'm good. 15 minutes of football done. Right.
Yeah. We stopped him.
We did.
We sacked yours on the first possession. We got an interception on the first possession.
Yeah.
We actually took it down the field and missed a field goal.
We did do that. That was awesome. Yeah. So good. So good.
And then the second time, we made it go 3 and out. I think it was 3 and out. I don't think they got a first down.
They did not.
And so they punt to us, and we get it all the way down the field. We actually had some little, we had a little passing going. We had a little running going. We looked good. This is first quarter still. And we get it down to the field to get another field goal, and we actually made that one.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it. That was kicking for chicken. That one was good.
People listening are like, I'm not sure Dana and Shawn should be in the same room when they're doing this because they sound like you're having way too much fun after a loss.
After a disappointing loss.
And
then after that score, we let Texas get the ball back, and then it was just kind of downhill from there.
Yeah.
It was very disappointing after that.
Yes.
Second quarter, our defense, it's like a totally different defense. I'm sure that Steve Sarkisian made some changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he adjusted to what our defense was throwing at them, obviously.
Yeah. Yours was able to complete some passes. There was, at some point, there was like a block in the back that was missed on a punt. Right. I think that was in the second quarter. It was right down on our end of the field. We all saw it. I don't know why the ref didn't see it, but he didn't. Mm-hmm. And he should have. Mm-hmm. Because that's illegal. And that would have backed them up some more, but it didn't. They were able to keep the ball rolling. We also had a defensive penalty, and they had a completion that they reviewed and said there wasn't enough to overturn it.
Yeah, we need to go back and see. We need to go back and see if his toe was on the white line or not.
It sure looked like it in the stadium.
Yeah, but it's big and pixelated up there high.
Yeah,
you couldn't tell because if his foot was down and then his toe went out, or if his foot wasn't down and then when it touched, it hit the white. But at one point in time, eventually, it looked like his shoe was on the white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
They called it a catch, and then that's when they went ahead and scored, right?
Yeah, and then they went ahead and scored at that point.
And is that the score where he fumbled it into the end zone and through? Or
I don't think so. I think that was the next one.
Possession.
Yeah, I think so.
After a while, we're just like,
yeah. Because then their third score in the second quarter was after Michael Hawkins fumbled. But the second, so that was the first score. They kind of went all the way down the field, 75 yards, made a touchdown. There were a couple of those questionable calls or lack of calls, maybe we should say. They were still going to get a first down on that first.
Right. Yes.
On
because
that first run, we had a defensive.
Right. And so on that catch that maybe wasn't a catch, they were still going to continue to have control of the ball because we had defense holding.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So they score that time. They get the ball back to us. We promptly give it back to them.
Mm-hmm.
They go down the field again, and I think that's when they fumbled into the end zone. Yeah. And I still don't understand. That's another play I think we need to go back and look at on the replay. When they showed it in the stadium, the ball is lost and fumbles into the end zone.
Yeah, we were like, come on, go out the end.
It's just got to go out the end of the end zone, and it's our ball on the 20.
Yeah.
And instead, they are able to recover it. But Danny Stutzman's running to get to the ball, too. And it almost looks like he slowed down.
Yeah, it almost, I mean, and who knows?
And again, we're seeing it in a replay situation.
But it almost looked like he thought what we thought, that it was going to go out the end zone. And so you don't, want to touch it. Just let it go. But yeah, that's not what happened. And they got a touchdown.
And they got a touchdown. Yeah.
And so then, hindsight being 2020, it's like if Danny had even just slid into it and maybe made it where he could, didn't have possession of it until it went out the end.
Then it's right. Then it's not a touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
No.
Then they punt the ball back or kick off, send it back to us. We get a 2-minute. We got 2 minutes to make some plays.
Yeah, it was after that 2-minute.
And Michael Hawkins fumbles the ball.
And so then Shawn does her Shawn thing.
Oh, yes. When Shawn goes to the OU Texas game, she has to leave right before half and go get a Fletcher's corner.
I do. And I do this. I've been doing this for a long time, so you cannot
years.
say it's because of me that what happened next happened. But yes. So once Michael Hawkins fumbled it, I'm like, okay, Texas has got the ball. I'm going to head out to get my Fletcher's corn dog. It was a thing because we were sitting on the other side of the stadium this year, and I don't know exactly where the Fletcher stands are on that side. Yeah, on that side. So I had to, I didn't know exactly how much time I had, but I knew I had to hurry. And before I'd even gotten down the first ramp, we were up in the upper deck. I knew that, Hawkins had fumbled and that Texas had recovered. And that's when I start to leave the stadium. I'm not even to the first deck and I hear all this cheering. And when I see the TV screen, it just says touchdown. So, I mean, before I had even gotten anywhere, Texas had already scored that touchdown. But then I kept back and Dana tells me a whole lot happened after that.
Oh, she missed. She missed their kicker choking. At least he choked for chicken.
Well, but first, before so they made the touchdown, and then Taylor Tatum.
Yes. Fumbled. So Taylor Tatum fumbles. So they score. Shawn's gone.
I'm gone.
It's 14-3.
It's Fletcher's time.
No, I guess it's 21-3. It's 21-3 at that point. So they've had 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. Yeah. And Shawn is out of the building. And
Shawn has left the building.
They kick off to us, and we've got Taylor Tatum out there. He's healthy.
Yes.
He's playing. He's out there. He takes the ball. He's making a big play. He's running it down the field, and he gets hit, and he fumbles the ball. And so they recover it. And I'm like, they're going to score another touchdown.
Mind you, all of this is happening in the last 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes. Yes. All of it. So luckily, the defense stepped in and played the best defense of the second quarter at that point.
Oh, okay.
Because they hadn't really been playing great defense the whole second quarter. They looked great the first quarter, not the second. And so at that point, they were able to hold them to a field goal attempt. And they bring in old Bert Auburn with his curly hair hanging out of his helmet. He must have a whole bunch of hair. I'm jealous. And he's
got kind of like the Kansas State quarterback hair, but it's red.
Yes,
but it fits. Red. It's like Auburn.
I mean,
he is Longhorn through and through.
Yes,
I feel like his parents named him, raised him to be a Longhorn.
Yeah, they probably did. And so he gets out there to kick. And he kicks it wide right.
Yay.
And we had called a timeout right before that. So the crowd erupts. OU's so excited. And then it's like, oh, wait, he's going to get to do it again.
Yeah.
So he gets to do it again.
And he's a good kicker.
And he's a very good kicker. And it wasn't that long. I mean, it was a 30-pluser, but not. I think it was in the 40.
Right.
and he pushed this one to the left and missed it too. So the crowd erupted. That was the best luck we had. That was the highlight reel of the OU team in the first half. Was Bert Auburn missing 2 field goals in a row.
Thank you.
And we went into halftime to make some halftime adjustments.
Yeah, well, that was the plan.
Or did we? Did you see any halftime adjustments, Shawn?
No.
Now, we did hold them to 3 points in the third quarter.
Well, and that's true. And they had
only 10 in the fourth quarter.
They had, like, at least 1 3 and out, I think. I don't know how many first downs they had in the third quarter. So, yeah, our defense probably made some changes. And
we did seem to tackle better in the third and fourth quarter.
Oh, my gosh. Well, for a while, it was like they forgot how to tackle. They were diving.
Billy Bowman's diving at legs, and the guy's just running past him. Lewis Carter, same thing.
Kanai
Walker.
We're like, guys. I mean, and
we're out of position.
Yes, and this is out. What we have seen from this year, this is out of character for them.
Totally
they are good tacklers. This is not Grinch era.
No,
defense where they never made tackles, and they were poor tacklers back then. These guys, typically are good tacklers. And I remember one spot where it did seem like it turned around because Eli Bowen grabbed a guy around the leg, like up above the knee,
on his thigh, and held on for life.
Was not letting go of that guy, and the guy's trying to get away, and Eli is not letting go, and then somebody else came and helped Eli with that tackle.
And that was third quarter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but for a while I'm like, what has happened? They're not tackling, and they're diving, and I don't know for sure in football. I would assume kind of like in volleyball, because my daughter played back row. Sometimes when you're having to really dive for a ball, it's because you're out of position. So I'm assuming same with tackling in football. Sometimes if you're diving to make the play, especially if you're doing it over and over again, you're out of position.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Not
assume.
Always. Sometimes you're diving because you're trying to make a play that you
don't think you can make, but you're going to try.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe that was part of it. There were a couple of passes that were long. That stinking tight end of theirs, that Gunner Helm.
Man,
he hurt us last year, and he hurt us again this year. Yep. He's just wide open several times, and he's slow. He's slower than I am out there running. I'm kidding. I'm kidding about that, but he looks like he's running in slow motion. And he looks like he's 7 feet tall and 7 feet wide because he's got big, broad shoulders. And we couldn't get to him. Our little speedy guys can't run him down. So he's got to be faster than he looks.
And even if they had ran him down, they're probably not bringing him down. That guy's huge.
He's huge.
He is huge.
He needs to have an appendicitis before next year, because I think he's just a junior. I think he's a junior. I don't think he's a senior.
I wonder, though, if he'll go.
I sure hope
Depends what his NIL deal's like, right? If he's got a big NIL deal, he might come back. He can make more money. He can make more money staying. Oh, goodness.
Let's see. That was the third quarter. Pretty much sums it up. We laid a golden egg again. Mm-hmm. And then fourth quarter, we were able to hold them. Was that third quarter that I think our defense held them inside the 20-yard line? Inside.
That's right, because they went for it instead of kicking a field goal, which, I mean, okay, whatever, Sark. I guess he's just like, we're ahead. We can go for it instead of, trying to kick the field goal. And they actually made that one first down and then didn't make it the rest.
Right. And so we were able to hold them on downs, and they turned the ball over. But that left us on the 5-yard line or something like that.
Yes, we were really backed up. And
we made 0 yards, and Luke Elzinga had to come in and punt in the end zone.
From the end zone.
But he was able to get it off and get a pretty decent punt. Yeah. That was in the third quarter, I think. And then in the fourth quarter, we held them again, but then they had a holding penalty. We held them again inside the 20, but they had a holding penalty. They were going to go for it on fourth down, and they had a holding penalty, so that moved them back 10 more yards. So they brought their kicker in and kicked over at that point.
Well, that's right.
So that was their field goal in the fourth quarter. And then their touchdown in the fourth quarter was a trick play.
Yeah, tell us about that, Dana.
Yeah, I love you, Steve. I see why your wife left you. I see why. If this is how you treat people.
She still dresses him though. Did you know that?
No.
Like when they were at the Michigan game, he looked really sharp dressed. He had on this kind of like dark auburn camel hair blazer, walking around the field at the big house. And somebody mentioned something, I guess Herb Street mentioned to him about his sharp jacket. And he goes, well, I have somebody at home who takes care of, the way I look. And then I start Googling, as you will, because I'm like, okay, I know. I think her name's Lorelai. Yeah. I know she left him. The woman is sharp. She is a very sharp dressed woman herself. And yeah, she still helps him pick out his clothes for game day. Oh my God. Yeah, I can't believe it.
No, I can't.
I mean, I guess that's her children's daddy, so she wants her kid's daddy to look nice, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, back to Sark. And the trick play. I'm sorry.
There's this trick play. You're up. Well,
there's no danger of OU coming. I mean, Thunder Magic is very, very unlikely to happen at this point in time.
Because we can't make a first down.
Correct.
We can't make a first down. And yet you run a trick play. You had one trick play earlier in the game that didn't work because the guy who was throwing it long couldn't throw it 10 yards and he needed to throw it 40. It was pitiful. So you run it again and the guy actually completes the pass. It was kind of a jump ball to who? No other than Gunnar Helm, who's 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
I know I said he was 7 feet, but now he's about 9 feet
grown.
Tall.
He grew during the game.
And 3 of our guys are trying to take the ball away from him, but they can't because he's so much taller.
Tall. Yeah, he's so tall.
So he comes down with the catch outside of the goal line, so still in the field of play, and that allows Quinn to get a running touchdown.
Oh,
puke! Yep. I don't like you, Quinn. I don't like you, Sark. I don't like any of you Texans. You stink.
Yeah. Remember how we said at the very beginning, 2 very passionate
Yes,
people.
We are very passionate, and we will always hate Texas. Always.
Yes.
We just have to hate them.
We do.
I can't be nice. And we had a rude fan behind us that I wished he'd have, aspirated or something.
So what happens when Texas is ranked number 1?
Oh, gosh.
Is that they decide to come to the game.
Oh, yeah, they stayed the whole game. I mean, it's a killer. Yeah. There's no reason. Yeah. Our side started to leave. Even our husbands left because they're spoiled for and they won't stay around and cheer for their team. But
Dana and I did stay.
That's right. Shawn and I were there. We're there through the thick and the thin.
But, there's always on the OU part, maybe a few Texas people, but not very many. And I'm sure it's typically like that on the Texas side, too. I mean, I would never want to be at the game enough to sit in the Texas side because I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. But so there were quite a few Texas people in the OU section, in section 103 and 102 this year. And that was, I guess that's what happens when you're number 1. Yeah. You decide to buy whatever tickets you can find on SeatGeek, even if they're in the OU side. Yeah. And,
and then you stand up the whole game. There were 2 in front of us. They stood up the whole entire game. There's not anybody standing around them the third and fourth quarter.
Nobody down.
All the OU fans are seated.
And they are standing up right
in front of me. And I had to stand behind them so I could see what was going on.
And Dana is not a tall person.
Why not?
I'm not tall. But Dana's really not tall. And it's like, you know what? You're in the OU section. I mean,
be respectful. You can wear your orange colors and you can cheer for your team, but you don't have to rub it in.
Yeah. But to be fair, if I was on the Texas side and we were winning last year, I made
at least clap. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I might have done more than clap. But I'm the one of the 2 of us who's maybe almost gotten in a fight twice
at OU Texas.
So anyway,
at OU Texas.
Anyway, let's listen to the podcast from a couple years ago. We discussed. So anyway, okay. So what else do you have for me?
That's pretty much the game in a nutshell.
Yeah.
We looked great the first quarter, the second, third, and fourth quarter we did. Yeah. Now we had kind of a comeback. Well, one possession. We're playing Texas's second string defense. Last possession of the game. Michael Hawkins is doing his darn best. He didn't give up hope. No. He's trying to make plays. He actually did make a couple of plays. Taylor Tatum made a couple of plays. I think, was it Kearney that got one of those passes?
He got a couple of them. Yeah.
Sharp. So we were able to move the ball down the field. We were inside the 10, and we could not complete a pass into the end zone.
No, we couldn't.
One hit Jake Roberts.
Jake should have had that
behind him.
When you're a tight end, he could have been like the Texas tight end's last name's Helm. He could have been like Helm and caught the ball.
And he didn't. Touchdown.
And it did kind of go through his hands. So I mean, I'm not blaming Mike on that one because sometimes also as a quarterback you throw it away from defenders, but where your receivers should be able to get it, especially when your receiver's a big tight end.
Yeah.
And he should have gotten it. Dana and I fully understand that if we had made that touchdown, it's throwaway points. I get it.
It doesn't change the outcome of the game.
Right. I get that.
But it makes me feel better.
Well, and like Dana kept saying, she's like, this is when they need to try these things. Because the possession before that, we were down in our own 30-yard line or whatever. And we had a couple of those plays like we usually do where we hand off and hit the middle and don't get any yards. And then on fourth down, we go for it. And it was fourth and long.
4th and 10, something like that. Yeah.
And we're going for it. And we know that we're unlikely to make a first down. Even if we had made a first down, we still have the whole field to go. I mean, okay, whatever. If you want to go for it, that's fine because you do have to get your players to be able to play. But we didn't run anything. Well, that's when he threw it away.
He threw it away. He threw the ball away on a fourth down. I mean, at least try and scramble a few yards.
Or just throw a jump ball because guess what? If you throw a pick, and they don't drop it, you're better off.
They get the ball further down there. Because on the fourth down, they're going to get it at the 30-yard line, which they did. So, I think that was when Ewers was able to make that last score for them.
Right, exactly. But I'm also with that, I'm thinking with the coaches, okay, you know that you're not going to be likely to win this game. You're going for it on fourth down when you are in their territory. And so you know that if you don't get it, they are going to score.
Yeah.
You know this. And I will say from the beginning of the game, we didn't always do a great job at playing the field position battle. At first we had better field position than them, partly because of the interception, but we didn't capitalize on the interception. So, but we held them again. So we're kind of winning that field position battle, but we could have actually pinned them deeper,
several times.
Yeah. I mean, when we kicked that first field goal, it's kind of a long field goal. And anyway, whatever.
Right. I guess if we'd made it, we would have been happy.
Right.
But
we
didn't.
But I guess my point that I didn't complete, sorry, I'm just still all verklempt from yesterday. But Dana kept saying when we were doing that last drive, and we understand that, that's kind of would have been throwaway points. But Dana made the good point that you still have to get your offense, this young offense especially, you have to get them playing in game situations because that experience, especially against a defense like Texas, is invaluable.
Yeah.
And so, yes, keep trying to push.
Do a 2-minute offense.
Yes.
Do some of those.
Don't just hand off and run up the middle, right?
Yeah.
Don't just work your easy offense, the safe offense. work something else, because what's it going to hurt?
Right. What's it going to hurt?
We're not going to be shut out. We know this.
Right. The game is over. We've lost.
Yes.
Or we're in the process of losing.
Yes.
We're not going to pull it out. So why not practice some of those things that we can't practice at home on the practice field against our own team?
Right.
Why don't we put that into action and let the guys at least kind of see how this might work or how that might work? But we don't. We just hand up the middle.
And it didn't seem like they did that until that very, very last series where we got down inside the 10 and Michael started throwing it more, and we were getting some pass completions. And I will tell you, during that series, Zion Kearney, the guy was open on 3 or 4 different times when Michael didn't target him. And so the guy either knows how to get away from his defenders, or the defenders were just letting him go, but other guys were covered. And he would go down the field, deeper down the field and across the middle. And one time he was open in the end zone and he wasn't targeted. And so I have very high hopes for him, because also, Dana, tell us about his stats for the night.
Well, he was 4 for 4, so he was targeted 4 times. He caught every ball thrown to him. He was our longest receiver. He had 49 yards. So why didn't we target him more? Yeah. And Shawn and I, that last possession is down on the end zone we're in, and he's wide open. Yeah. At least 2 or 3 of those plays. Get him the ball.
Yeah. In fact, I started just watching him, because when I saw him open like a couple times, especially across the middle, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on this kid. And he was open several times. And then maybe he went back to the huddle and said, hey, guy, I am open there, not covering me. And then Michael started throwing it to him. I mean, I think the rest of that, he got three of those 4 catches of his were then, and he was catching the ball, so he wasn't dropping them. Obviously, he was 4 for 4.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I have high hopes for him in the future. He's a true freshman.
True freshman. He's number 7.
Yes.
That threw us off. That to me is not a
typical wide receiver number.
I mean, I guess Jalil Farouk is number 3 and Nick Anderson number 4. So maybe it is, but I always see the 80s and think that's what sort of number that should have.
It seems like it's flipped, because a lot of tight ends are in the 80s now. And
so maybe it's more like that. But
it's not the teens. A lot of wide receivers are in the teens too.
The kid was open. We got to get him the ball.
Yeah.
Brennan Thompson was targeted 4 times and had 3 receptions, but only 19 yards. Yeah. Bauer Sharp, playing at tight end, he was targeted 4 times and had 3 receptions for 21 yards. We weren't targeting them enough. Now the stat numbers at the end showed that Hawkins was 19 of 30, which is 2/3. That's 60%.
Yeah,
but what was the stat you had, Shawn, about the length of the passes?
Oh, I mean, our longest pass was
it 12?
12 yards, I think. Yeah. Yes, there were 2 passes that were like 12 yards. So, yeah, not great.
I mean, we've got to get some 20-yarders, some 30-yarders. Jake Roberts was one of the ones that had a 12-yard completion.
Right.
It's like we didn't see any of those down the field.
And actually, I say that Kearney had 4 for 49, so his average wasn't that. So I don't know what his longest was. He might have had one that was longer than 12 yards. But still, either way, we're not throwing down the field. And I think Hawkins' ceiling is still high, but I do see him, and I think this true freshman stuff, he starts to get in trouble and he brings the ball down and starts to run, which keeps the defense honest for a while, but then the defense is like, oh, well, I'm just going to set a spy on you because you're probably going to run.
You're just going to run.
And
they didn't feel, to me, the defense didn't feel threatened that he was going to complete for sure a long pass because we didn't even attempt.
Yeah.
So just some short little screens.
Yeah. And so Dana and I were talking, and I said that has probably been the way he played in high school.
Oh, yes.
Because he was I'm sure, the star of his high school team. And
probably faster than anybody on any of the teams he played.
Yeah, and if he got in trouble, brought it down and ran for a long ways. And now he's not just playing high school football players, he's playing the best high school football players and college players he's ever played against. And so once he does that a little bit, then they know how to stop him. And that's what seemed to happen. And that just kind of leads us to that thing about whether it's Jackson Arnold, whether it's Michael Hawkins, why does OU not have a dedicated quarterback coach?
Right. Why do we not, Shawn? Yeah. I guess, and I think as we were talking about it yesterday, we're like, he who must not be named, which is Lincoln Riley.
Who also lost yesterday, by the way. Past 2 weeks.
Wait, does he lost his name on the season? I think, maybe.
I don't know.
I think so. But anyway, he was, when he was the offensive coordinator, he was the quarterback coach. And so he's who helped Baker Mayfield probably win the Heisman that last year of Baker's training. Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. He helped those guys. And that's what brought some of the other players, that's, he maybe helped recruit Jackson Arnold. So he was always the quarterback coach. When he left 3 years ago, then that left us without a quarterback coach. I think Cale Gundy maybe had stepped in to kind of fill in as a quarterback coach, but then Cale Gundy's been gone for a couple of years. So we don't have a dedicated quarterback coach.
It could be that Levy was the guy who did that. And they say Seth Luttrell is the OC and QB coach. But if you're going to have young guys who you're trying to develop, I think it might be important to have a QB coach.
That's
your OC's doing your OC. Lincoln Riley, he was the offensive mind, and maybe he could do both because he wasn't worried about as many other things. But also, let's keep in mind, when Lincoln Riley was here, the transfer portal and NIL weren't what they are now, and kids couldn't jump as easily and didn't jump as easily as they do now. And so really working to develop those young guys, because there's a chance that you're going to have to play young guys because your quarterback might leave, or he, might go to the NFL or whatever. I mean, guys don't stay around, and you can't necessarily expect to have 3 years to develop them. But if you're going to expect to play a young quarterback, and let's be honest, Jackson Arnold's young also.
Oh, yes.
Then you need somebody who's going to be really working with them. And that's what I see with both Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins is I feel like with both of them, there's still a lot of raw talent, but they need to get to where they're feeling really comfortable in the pocket, comfortable with the offense. And they'll show flashes of that, but then they get flustered. This is what it looks like from high up in the Cotton Bowl. And I know I'm not a football player, and then they revert to the thing that's comfortable and the thing that's muscle memory. And for Michael Hawkins, that thing is to pull the ball, tuck the ball and go. And it's probably served him very well. And there were times, even yesterday, it served him well. There were times against Auburn, it served him well. But if you're going to develop him to be a great all-around quarterback, I think maybe we need a quarterback coach.
I agree. And he's got to be schooled on the importance of looking at your reads and getting the ball off quickly, which he did the second half against Tennessee when he played. And he did against Auburn. Now, Texas defense is, of course, probably better than Auburn's defense. I mean, I'm just saying that from a standpoint of they're ranked number 1 in the nation. And I know they put more pressure on us. They had, I think there were 5 sacks on the quarterback, and there were like 11 or 12 tackles for loss. But Texas defense didn't necessarily blitz every time. they just were there and kind of knew what to expect. And that's when he's got to be working through the progressions of who's the next guy open and how can I get a long ball. If he'd been able to complete a long pass or two in the second quarter or the third quarter, then they got to respect him for that ability and back off some, and then he can get more yardage with his legs.
Yeah,
and that just comes with experience.
Yeah, I think so too.
And
coaching, because that is the same kind of thing we talked about with Jackson Arnold. He's not throwing the long ball and not looking downfield. We're not going vertical. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to start laying that at the coach's feet and offensive game plan. And the offensive game plan started off a little bit different. Yeah. And we were moving and we were doing some different things.
It looked good. That first quarter.
And the running backs are getting holes and some yards. And there was one time that early in the game, Gavin Sawchuk was in there. And, it was an option. And Michael kept the ball, but Gavin Sawchuk probably could have made almost a touchdown, which, I mean, that's a read. And it's one thing to be able to see it from, high up in the stadium.
We were up high. But yes, we could definitely see that.
But just the fact that we are having a running lane like that. I mean, Michael still made yards on that play, too. But I just feel like Seth Luttrell's not the guy. I was never a huge fan of the hire. I call it a Nepo hire.
Yeah.
We have so many OU connections. Levy was an OU connection too. I know Venables was, but he's like a Nepo hire, and I feel like we maybe need to get outside of the Oklahoma mindset and expand. And Zach Alley is one of those guys, right? And look at our defense this year.
Yeah, our defense is definitely worlds better than last year, but our offense is worlds worse than last year.
Yeah,
and it's just sad to know that our defense is really good. And yes, they had some miscues in the second quarter. They did do better in the third and the fourth quarter. But our offense just laid a golden egg. Second, third, and fourth quarter. And it's like that you'd watch them and think they're not going to make a first down this time.
Yeah, I know. It was so sad.
It's just sad. So it's like we are as bad as the numbers say we are. Like 129th out of 130.
Yeah, we've been trying to convince ourselves we weren't.
We're like, we just had a couple of bad days. We've got a true freshman quarterback. We've got our 5 wide receiver starters out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is all true.
And that is all true. But it is the coach's job to coach them up and call something that'll work.
Yes.
Something that is in their capability.
Yeah.
These guys are not bad players.
Right. Agreed.
These guys are blue chippers. Some of them are freshmen. Adrian Peterson was quite a freshman.
He was.
When he played at OU.
Yeah, he was.
So we can't just say, well, they're true freshmen. They can be just as good if you, in your coaching capabilities, can pull it out.
That's right. I mean,
you got to make a team out of it.
Look at this Bama kid who's 17 and receiver. And
is anybody saying, well, he's a true freshman. That's why he's not very good.
That's right.
Oh, no, they're not saying that at all.
They're not saying that.
So why do we allow that to be our cop-out? Well, our wide receivers, our core is decimated. Okay, well, find some more.
That's right. We recruited other guys for a reason.
Pull the D-backs over.
Yeah.
Come on. Some of those guys played both in high school. Your son played both, didn't he? Didn't he play?
Not the answer.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that he did.
Yeah.
You find that,
but
I'm not saying that they may be stars and that they're going to win the Heisman if we do that. But can we do that for half of the season to get through the season, or are we just going to give up? I got the feeling that at the start of the second half, our offense was giving up.
Yeah, they didn't seem like they made the halftime adjustments or just changed stuff. And I know we're always on here just griping about the offense, and people talk about the O-line. Well, our O-line's not great this year. Okay, well, you know what? I have a feeling that if you put our O-line head-to-head with Vandy's O-line, they will match up okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hey.
I doubt that Vandy has five stars on their O-line.
Are we going to assume that Vandy recruited better O-line players than us?
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
Because they may have just barred them all from New Mexico State. Do you think New Mexico State's getting all the great players?
But Vandy's won the past 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They beat Bama.
Mm-hmm. They sure did.
So
they beat Kentucky.
Vandy has figured out a way to take their talent
and make them into a team.
Exactly.
And make them gel.
That's right.
So why have our coaches not figured that out?
That's right. And so if our quarterbacks aren't quite ready to look downfield, to see downfield and throw those balls downfield, then make an offense where they don't have to. If our running backs get stopped right in the middle, then figure out a way to get them outside like they did kind of at the beginning of this Texas game.
Yeah.
And keep doing it. Don't go back to the safe thing. That's what it looks like. It looks like when we start getting behind, they just start playing the play calling. I mean, not the players. They start doing really, really conservative play calling. That, let's face it, handoff up the middle hasn't even worked against Temple.
Correct. It hasn't. So to say that that's what we're going to do for the rest of the game is ridiculous.
It is.
So once we get behind, we're not ever going to score.
Right. Yeah, we don't have the ability like we have in years past to score quickly. Uh-huh. You know, Dylan Gabriel could throw the ball all the way down the field, and lots of times he did overthrow people.
Yeah.
But lots of times he didn't.
Yeah. But he at least had that. He tried it enough that the defense had to respect him for that.
Yeah, they kept him honest.
And with us not even trying it, the defenses are not going to respect us. They're just going to run, they're just going to run the D-line. They're just going to crowd the box to try and prevent the run. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to think outside of that to come up with
outside the box.
Yes.
I think we've said that before, Dana.
I think we have. We just keep on and on and on. And what about a misdirection? What about a trick play? What about a reverse in the backfield? What about Bauer Sharp?
We did have a shovel pass. Did you see that?
Yeah, you're right.
I love that. And it
got some yards.
Yeah. Tell them your idea for Bauer Sharp.
Bauer Sharp was a quarterback in high school and wanted to play that in the pros.
Well, he played in college. He started out as a quarterback.
Like a year, and then they said, hey, why don't you be a tight end?
Yeah.
Why don't we throw a lateral to him and let him throw a long pass?
I kind of like that play idea.
Why have we not thought of things like that? I'm not getting paid the big bucks. Shawn, are you getting paid the big bucks?
Not at all.
So, but we shouldn't be the ones having to come up with this stuff.
I know, because we don't get paid the big bucks. So the guys who get paid the big bucks and are the football masterminds need to do that.
Yeah. But come on, let's think outside of the box and come up with some other ways to get the ball down the field.
Because Dana and I refuse to believe that these guys don't have the talent.
Right.
We believe they have the talent. Yes. Talent. I mean, we see it. We've seen these guys catch the ball. We've seen the balls thrown. We've seen the running backs make yards. Yeah. Gavin and Javante both played last year.
And they were good running backs. So. They made yards every game. Yeah. The other thing, and I think I've said this in one of the other podcasts, when Bob Stoops came on to be the head coach at OU, he took the players that we'd had. Mm-hmm. We'd been having losing seasons. Mm-hmm.
Very losing seasons.
Back.
Yes.
He took the same players. Now, he didn't have the NIL.
He did get one.
He did bring in a quarterback. He brought in Josh Heupel.
He did.
But every other player was who had been there on the team from the year before. Yeah. He changed some of their positions.
He did.
And he got them to have a winning season. And then they won the national championship the next year. Mm-hmm. If Bob can do it,
that's right.
These other guys can do it too.
That's right. I agree. I agree. Oh gosh. Anyway, so much stuff, and we did
Too passionate.
Yeah, and we're talking before, and we're like, yeah, this doesn't even have to be long, and here we are.
And here we are. Yes,
in.
here we are.
So, Dana, I was telling you how I have a friend who, one of our few listeners, who will text me something, and when he texts, it's very obvious that he has listened to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Shout out to Rich. And so he said he liked the pine needles and pansies.
Okay. So, that we started last episode.
We'll finish on a positive like we always did when we were sorority. We had to do pro con pro. We had to finish on a pro. So pine needles and pansies, we're going to finish on the positive. So pine needles, we've harped on most of them, but do you have any like pine needle that we haven't mentioned yet? I know there's so many. But...
No, I think I've probably said all of them.
I just, we kind of forgot how to tackle.
We did talk about, go ahead.
Well, we just forgot how to tackle for a while.
And I was going to say some poor officiating. Again, that did not change the outcome of the game. But if you're going to call defensive holding on us, you got to call it on them. Because I watched them set a screen. I watched them set a pick at least once. I think they did it twice. That it wasn't flagged. Yeah. That's offensive pass interference every time it happens. Mm-hmm. So call it. Blocks in the back. That's wrong. Mm-hmm. That's a way players get injured. Yeah. Call it. There was a tackle on Michael Hawkins.
They did call roughing the passer a couple times. So there was that.
They did.
Against Texas, I mean.
Yeah, against Texas.
So there was that.
There was a time that looked like they almost first collared Michael Hawkins. I mean, they didn't, but it was almost the way they grabbed him. They didn't throw a flag on it. But okay, come on, SEC officiating crew. Call it fairly. Or get out of the SEC. We know that you've had problems in the past, and we know that teams like Auburn have complained about certain officiating crews in the SEC. Quit sending them our way.
All right, that's a pine needle for sure.
Okay. Any other pine needle? No, you shouldn't have brought that in, Shawn.
I wasn't expecting that. I last night, and I looked at the family, and I go, Dana said something maybe similar. And I go, back in college, I always thought Dana was the nice one, not me. But now I think it's flipped. She was the nice one in college, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
She makes to be the nice one, but, I brought her over the dark side. I don't know. That's probably it. Okay, so now pansies.
Yes, you go.
Okay.
Pansy for you.
All right. I talked about him already, Zion Kearney. The guy was open. I love seeing it. I'm looking forward to watching that guy, and I hope they start targeting him.
And he's a tall guy. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get him the ball. Come on, Seth. Listen. Get him the ball.
Listen to us. Okay. Dana, you got a pansy?
I've got a pansy. It's Eli Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
Eli Bowen led the team in tackles. He had 8 tackles. He is a true freshman.
Yes.
He's playing quarterback. Mm-hmm. He came in, one of the tackles Shawn mentioned, he had the guy around the leg and he just held on. Yes. Like a dog has a hold on a bone. He wasn't letting go until he got some help to bring the guy down.
And tackle leader, and he was not a starter.
Yes, he did not start. So he didn't play every snap.
He did not. In fact, a lot of the first quarter, I don't think I saw him out there. If he was, he wasn't very much. So leading tackler, and he wasn't out there as much as some of those guys.
Right. He's number 23, so watch for him. Yep. The commentators at the game kept calling him.
Kept calling Peyton Eli.
Yeah, they couldn't get him right. Peyton's 22, Eli's 23. Yeah. Enough said. Well, Peyton plays safety, Eli's playing corner. Yeah. They're in different positions in the field, but they're both in the back.
Both defensive back. And thank you, Peyton, for having your brother come.
Yes, thank you for bringing Eli to be with us.
Yes. Okay, any more pansies, or do you want to tell them what Brianna's pansy was? My daughter, do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, so my daughter said that the good thing about the game was that we were sitting in the shade most of the time.
Yes. Shawn was able to get her tickets before us, so she picked the side where we'd be in the shade.
We were on the press box side, and my husband is like, you know what? Whether it's an 11 o'clock kickoff or 2:30 kickoff, let's get on the press box side. We're never over there. Let's have our backs be to the sun. And after halftime, we were in the shade. So, yeah.
That's a pansy.
That's a pansy.
and that maybe helped us stay the entire game. Yeah,
that's right.
We were not burned. We
That's
were
right.
not blistered. We were. Yeah, it was very.
We were hot, but I wasn't sweating, soaking.
Yeah,
like I would have been if I'd been on the other side.
Yeah, agreed.
So we got that, and we were able to get out of the stadium.
Yeah, it was very easy to get out of the stadium because there were very few Sooner fans left.
That's
yes,
right.
very few.
Oh, gosh.
One other pansy would go to Luke Elzinga.
Oh, yes. Yes.
What was his long punt? Was 63?
Yeah,
is that 63. What you had?
Mm-hmm. 63, and his average was 47.7.
Yes. He kept the field position in our favor as much as he could.
Because that 63-yard punt, we had 2 false starts in a row.
Oh, yes, Shawn.
And got backed up,
gosh.
and he still had that great punt. So,
yes. Yes, so he gets a pansy.
Yeah,
so he and Eli both get game balls.
Yes, I agree. Oh, okay. So the gauntlet has been dropped, and OU's in the middle of it. And
and we're 4-2 on the season. We play South Carolina coming this coming Saturday.
Homecoming.
It is homecoming. The last I'd heard, we'd either start at 11 or we'd kick at 11:45. Mm-hmm. It kind of depended. I think that I'd heard if we played well against Texas, we got an 11 o'clock slot on ESPN. If we didn't, we got an 11:45 on SEC Network. But I'm not positive. I still didn't see any time.
So I'm guessing 11:45.
I hope they don't consider our play good because we don't.
And South Carolina has shown flashes of brilliance.
Oh, yes, they have.
And so, yeah.
Yes, they have. They almost beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Bama was able to win by 2, just like right at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So they're coming to town. I hope that we can figure out a way to score.
Me too.
I'd like for our defense to score, but we cannot rely on them at all times to score.
No, not at all.
But we did get an interception. Mm-hmm. We got to run that back next time.
Yes.
Okay, Billy, you got to hold on to it and run it back. You got it.
You got it. All right. I think
that's it. All right. We'll talk with you later.
Okay. So remember, we're just a couple of gals out here with lots of opinions and hot takes. Join us here next time as we talk sporty.
Yes. Bye.
Goodbye.